Picture this. You're at a quiet grocery store, waiting in line, when the cashier scanning your items seems unusually nervous. Her hands tremble so much that she can barely hold the scanner steady. You ask if she's all right, and what she tells you changes your entire view on bravery, compassion, and standing up for what's right. Stay with me till the end, because what one single dad did that night will restore your faith in humanity. And before we dive in, if you believe kindness still matters, hit that like button and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories so we can keep spreading real, inspiring stories that touch the heart. It was a chilly Thursday evening in a small grocery store on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. The store was nearly empty, just a few customers finishing their shopping before closing time. Daniel Reed, a 36-year-old single father, stood in line with a basket of essentials, milk, cereal, and a loaf of bread. Beside him, his 7-year-old daughter, Emma, clutched a box of colorful cereal like it was treasure. When it was their turn, Daniel noticed something about the young cashier. Her name tag read Sophie. She couldn't have been older than 24. But what caught his attention wasn't her age. It was the way her hands shook as she tried to scan the first item. Not from the cold, but from fear. Daniel's instincts kicked in immediately. He had spent nearly a decade as a firefighter before stepping away to raise Emma after his wife's passing. He'd seen fear up close, and he recognized it instantly. He smiled gently. "Hey, you doing all right?" Sophie forced a small, polite smile, the kind people give when they're holding back tears. "Yeah, I'm fine, just a long day," she murmured. But Daniel wasn't convinced. Her eyes flickered briefly toward the manager's office across the store, a glass-walled room where a heavy-set man sat watching the floor. Then she quickly looked away. Emma, ever the innocent observer, piped up, "Are you cold, miss? My daddy's got a big jacket." Sophie chuckled softly. "That's sweet, honey. But no, I'm okay." Daniel could feel it. Something was wrong. But he didn't want to press her in front of others. He paid for his items, thanked her, and started walking toward the exit. But halfway there, something made him stop. He turned back just in time to see Sophie lean against the counter, breathing shackily. Then her manager stormed out of his office and snapped something at her under his breath. She flinched. That was enough. Once the other customers left, Daniel walked back to her register. His tone was calm but serious. "Hey, Sophie, you keep looking at your manager's office. If something's not right, you can tell me. I promise I won't make a scene." Sophie froze, her lips trembling. I shouldn't talk about it." Daniel leaned closer. "I'm a dad. I've seen what it's like when people are scared to speak up. I just want to make sure you're safe." For a moment, she said nothing. Then, in a whisper barely louder than a breath, she said, "It's him, my manager. He makes me uncomfortable. He touches my shoulder, stands too close, says things he shouldn't. I asked him to stop, and he cut my hours." Daniel's stomach sank. "How long has this been happening?" "About 6 months," she replied, tears welling up. "I can't afford to lose this job. My rent's already late. I can't risk making him angry again." Daniel nodded slowly, the weight of her words heavy on his chest. He looked at Emma, still humming to herself by the candy display. He'd promised himself to raise her in a world where doing the right thing mattered. "Sophie," he said softly, "you don't deserve this. You don't have to face it alone." She shook her head quickly. "Please don't say anything. It'll just get worse." Daniel gave her a reassuring look. "Not tonight, but I'll be back." He took Emma home, called his sister to babysit, and returned to the store an hour later. The aisles were quiet now. Sophie was still behind the counter, pretending everything was fine. When the last customer left, Daniel approached again. "I know you're scared," he said gently. "But this ends tonight. I'll help you report him. You won't be alone in this." Her eyes glistened. "What if no one believes me? Then they'll answer to me," Daniel said firmly. "I've seen men like him. They get away with it because people stay silent. But not this time." After a long pause, Sophie nodded faintly. Together, they walked to the break room. With trembling hands, she dialed the company's HR department, while Daniel stood beside her for support. She told them everything: the inappropriate comments, the touching, the retaliation. The HR representative assured her the complaint would be investigated immediately, and that she wouldn't have to return to that store until it was resolved. When they stepped back onto the sales floor, the manager was waiting. "What's going on here?" he demanded, glaring at them. Sophie took a deep breath. "What's going on is that I've reported you." The man's expression faltered. You can't do that." "I already did," she said, her voice steadier than before. Daniel crossed his arms beside her. "You'll leave her alone from now on. Understood?" The manager said nothing. As Daniel walked Sophie to her car, she turned to him with tears in her eyes. "I can't believe I actually stood up to him." Daniel smiled. "You did more than that. You took your power back." She looked down, smiling through tears. "Thank you for not walking away." He shrugged softly. "Sometimes all it takes is asking, 'Are you okay?'" A week later, Sophie called Daniel with an update. The company had suspended the manager pending investigation and offered her full-time hours at another location. When Daniel hung up, Emma, sitting beside him, asked, "Daddy, is that lady okay now?" He smiled, pulling her close. "She is, sweetheart, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stand up for someone else." If this story touched your heart, remember, kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. Please like this video and subscribe to Kind Soul Stories so we can continue sharing true moments of courage and compassion that remind us there's still good in this world.